Ladies and gentlemen, consider for a moment the countless choices we make every day. Some are trivial, some consequential, yet all shape the trajectory of our lives. In a world that constantly tells us to put ourselves, our ambitions, or our comfort first, there is an often overlooked principle that, when embraced, transforms not only our decisions but our very existence. That principle is simple: put God first in everything you do. To put God first is not a mere ritual or a phrase to repeat on Sundays. It is a way of life that informs our thoughts, decisions, and actions. When we place God at the center, we acknowledge that there is a wisdom far greater than our own, a guide who sees the whole picture, who knows our strengths, our weaknesses, and our true potential. It is in this alignment that we find clarity amidst confusion, courage amidst fear, and direction amidst chaos. Today, I will share with you 5 essential reasons why putting God first is not just a spiritual recommendation, but a practical strategy for living a life of purpose, resilience, and fulfillment. These principles are not abstract. They are grounded in the realities of human experience and can be applied immediately to reshape how we live, work, and interact with the world. By the end of this discussion, you will see that prioritizing God is not about restriction, but about liberation, freedom from confusion, from poor choices, and from the superficial measures of success that the world imposes. Instead, you will learn how to build a life that is meaningful, steady, and deeply fulfilling, guided by a principle that transcends the transient concerns of daily existence. Life is full of choices, some obvious and some subtle, but each carries consequences that ripple far beyond the immediate moment. When we face difficult decisions, whether in our personal relationships, professional endeavors, or moral dilemmas, the question arises: on what basis should we make these decisions? Human wisdom, while useful, is often limited by our emotions, biases, and incomplete understanding of the larger picture. This limitation leaves us vulnerable to mistakes, regrets, and paths that, while appealing in the short term, may lead to unintended consequences. By putting God first, we gain access to a source of guidance that transcends these human limitations. It is a guidance rooted not in impulse, pride, or fear, but in a comprehensive understanding of reality, justice, and purpose. When God is at the center of our decision-making, every choice is informed by a standard higher than personal preference or societal expectation, allowing us to navigate life with a clarity that is otherwise difficult to achieve. True guidance begins with acknowledging that human knowledge is finite. We often overestimate our ability to predict outcomes or understand the full implications of our actions. A single decision, made without foresight or moral grounding, can have consequences that affect our relationships, career, and even our sense of self. By seeking guidance from God first, we introduce a perspective that sees beyond the immediate, the visible, and the convenient. This does not remove the responsibility from our own reasoning or effort. Rather, it complements them. God-first guidance provides a framework for evaluating options, weighing consequences, and discerning the right path. It functions as a compass in moments of confusion and a steady hand when uncertainty threatens to overwhelm us. Another crucial aspect of putting God first is the alignment of our desires with principles that reflect truth and virtue. Human desires are often short-sighted or self-serving, motivated by fleeting emotions or societal pressures. We may chase success, recognition, or comfort, believing that these achievements define our lives. However, when God is prioritized, our motivations are tempered by wisdom and a higher sense of purpose. Decisions become less about immediate gratification and more about integrity, responsibility, and lasting impact. This alignment does not guarantee an easy path. Challenges will still arise, but it ensures that the choices we make are consistent with values that endure beyond momentary setbacks or temporary pleasures. Additionally, putting God first helps prevent the confusion that comes from conflicting influences. Life bombards us with messages about what we should pursue, what will make us happy, and how we should behave. Friends, family, media, and societal norms often present contradictory advice, making it difficult to know which path is right. By establishing God as the ultimate priority, we introduce a consistent reference point amidst the noise. Decisions no longer rely solely on fluctuating opinions or temporary trends. They are guided by a standard that is stable, reliable, and rooted in wisdom far beyond our own understanding. This does not mean blindly following rules without thought. It means applying discernment through a lens that prioritizes righteousness, justice, and love. Putting God first in decision-making cultivates a confidence that is not dependent on circumstances. When we act in accordance with a higher guidance, we develop an inner certainty that our choices, even when challenging or misunderstood by others, are purposeful. This confidence allows us to move forward without being paralyzed by doubt or fear of failure. It fosters resilience, for even when outcomes are imperfect, we can trust that the choices were made with integrity and wisdom, and that any lessons learned will contribute to growth. In this way, God-first guidance is both protective and empowering. It shields us from unnecessary mistakes while equipping us with the discernment to face challenges with clarity and composure. When we examine the way people live, it becomes clear that much of human effort is directed toward things that are fleeting: wealth, popularity, comfort, or recognition. While these pursuits are not inherently wrong, they are transient by nature. They can be gained and lost in an instant, and the satisfaction they provide is often temporary. By putting God first, we shift our focus from what is temporary to what is eternal. This shift is not an abstract spiritual exercise. It has profound practical implications for the decisions we make, the relationships we cultivate, and the legacy we leave behind. Prioritizing eternity over temporality gives our lives a framework that withstands the fluctuations of circumstance and the uncertainty of human experience. When temporal goals dominate, people often find themselves trapped in cycles of anxiety and dissatisfaction. Material success may provide temporary pleasure, but it cannot satisfy the deeper longings of the human heart. Recognition and acclaim, while flattering, can vanish as quickly as they are earned. Comfort and convenience are fleeting, vulnerable to change or loss. By contrast, when God is first, our perspective naturally expands beyond the immediate and superficial. We begin to measure our choices not by how quickly they bring pleasure, but by how they align with enduring principles and values. This shift enables us to invest time, energy, and resources into endeavors that hold lasting significance, rather than chasing rewards that fade with circumstance. Prioritizing God fosters a mindset that considers the long-term consequences of actions, not merely the short-term gains. Decisions about career, education, relationships, and personal development are informed by a deeper awareness of their impact on our character and the lives of others. The eternal perspective encourages us to cultivate virtues such as integrity, patience, generosity, and humility, recognizing that these qualities define a meaningful life far more than transient success. It challenges us to move beyond impulsive choices motivated by immediate desires and to seek outcomes that honor higher principles, knowing that these decisions contribute to a life that matters in a lasting sense. Another essential aspect of focusing on eternity is the freedom it brings from the fear of loss. When we place ultimate value on temporal achievements, failure or disappointment can feel catastrophic. Jobs are lost, investments fail, relationships falter, and recognition fades. But when God and eternal purposes are first, setbacks are reframed as temporary disturbances rather than ultimate defeats. The pursuit of lasting values provides a foundation that cannot be shaken by external circumstances. Confidence emerges from understanding that even when worldly gains vanish, the virtues cultivated, the lives positively impacted, and the alignment with divine purpose endure beyond the limitations of time. Prioritizing eternity also transforms the way we view suffering and challenges. Life is inevitably filled with difficulties, disappointments, and unexpected hardships. Those who focus solely on temporal concerns may find such experiences disheartening and destabilizing. But a God-centered perspective allows challenges to be interpreted as opportunities for growth, teaching, and refinement. The eternal viewpoint emphasizes that struggles are not meaningless obstacles, but essential parts of a journey toward maturity, wisdom, and meaningful contribution. By focusing on what transcends the temporal, we are equipped to endure hardships with grace, patience, and resilience, understanding that our response to difficulty shapes not only our character, but also the legacy we leave behind. When we prioritize God and eternity, our relationships, actions, and decisions acquire a depth that cannot be measured by immediate outcomes. We are less likely to be driven by selfish motives or transient popularity, and more likely to act with compassion, fairness, and long-term vision. Our work becomes more than a means to wealth or recognition. It becomes a vocation, an opportunity to serve, create, and leave a meaningful impact. Our interactions with others are guided not by temporary advantage, but by enduring principles of justice, love, and respect. In this way, a God-first approach to life not only directs us toward what is truly important, but also ensures that the results of our efforts ripple far beyond the immediate moment, touching lives and shaping futures in ways that last. Life is unpredictable. No one is immune to trials, setbacks, or moments of uncertainty. Despite careful planning, unforeseen circumstances often disrupt our routines, ambitions, and sense of security. In these moments, it is common to feel overwhelmed, lost, or even defeated. The human tendency is to rely solely on personal strength or understanding, yet this approach is often insufficient to navigate the complexities of real-life challenges. By putting God first, individuals gain a source of strength that surpasses their own limitations. This strength is not a guarantee that difficulties will vanish, but it equips the heart and mind to endure them with courage, patience, and clarity. Trials test not only our abilities, but also our character. When faced with adversity, it is easy to succumb to fear, frustration, or despair. These reactions, while natural, can cloud judgment and lead to decisions that exacerbate the problem rather than resolve it. Placing God first fosters a perspective that sees beyond the immediate discomfort, recognizing that challenges are not meaningless obstacles, but opportunities for growth, learning, and refinement. With God as the foundation, individuals approach difficulties with resilience, understanding that enduring hardship can strengthen faith, deepen wisdom, and reveal hidden potential. This mindset transforms suffering from a purely negative experience into a catalyst for personal development and purposeful living. Uncertainty often amplifies anxiety. When outcomes are unknown, human minds tend to imagine worst-case scenarios, sometimes creating problems that do not even exist. This tendency can paralyze action and breed fear. By prioritizing God in every aspect of life, one develops a framework for facing uncertainty with confidence. Faith provides a lens through which the unknown is not frightening but manageable, because it is guided by a higher intelligence that sees the bigger picture. Decisions can be made not with panic, but with calm discernment, knowing that even when the future is unclear, the choices we make in alignment with God's wisdom are rooted in purpose and truth. This perspective offers profound emotional and psychological stability in an otherwise chaotic world. Putting God first also cultivates perseverance. Many people abandon their goals when challenges arise, believing that failure is inevitable or that circumstances are insurmountable. However, when God is the priority, individuals are reminded that persistence is meaningful, even in the face of difficulty. Endurance becomes not a test of sheer willpower alone, but an expression of trust in a greater plan. This trust motivates consistent effort, careful reflection, and patience, all of which are essential for overcoming trials. It is the difference between temporary defeat and long-term triumph, between despair and the calm assurance that challenges are surmountable when approached with faith-guided resilience. Moreover, God, first living, encourages humility during trials. Difficulties often expose our limitations, revealing that we cannot control everything and that we are dependent on wisdom beyond our own. While humility can feel uncomfortable, it is an essential quality for growth and stability. Recognizing our dependence on God fosters a mindset that is teachable, flexible, and open to guidance. Even in the most challenging circumstances, this humility prevents rash decisions driven by ego or fear and allows for measured, thoughtful responses that reflect wisdom and discernment rather than impulsiveness. Another aspect of strength in trials is the inner peace that comes from faith. External circumstances may be turbulent, yet a God-centered approach produces a calmness rooted in understanding and trust. This peace is not passive resignation, but an active confidence that challenges can be met, lessons can be learned, and growth can occur. It allows individuals to maintain clarity, think strategically, and act with integrity, even when external pressures are intense. In this way, putting God first transforms adversity into a training ground for character, resilience, and emotional stability. Strength in uncertainty extends beyond the individual. When God is prioritized, the resilience cultivated during trials benefits relationships, communities, and work environments. A person guided by faith can support and inspire others, providing encouragement, stability, and perspective during their own challenges. Trials cease to be isolating experiences and instead become opportunities to model courage, patience, and trust, creating a ripple effect of strength and hope that influences not only personal life but also the lives of others. In the modern world, success is often measured by wealth, recognition, status, or the accumulation of possessions. Society frequently equates a person's value with their achievements, their influence, or their visibility in public life. While these markers can indicate hard work or talent, they are inherently superficial and transient. They do not address the deeper purpose of life or the condition of the heart. When God is put first, the definition of success shifts dramatically. Success is no longer measured solely by external accomplishments, but by the alignment of one's life with truth, integrity, and enduring values. This redefinition of success allows individuals to pursue meaningful goals that have lasting significance, rather than chasing the fleeting approval of others or temporary satisfaction. True success begins with understanding that life is more than material gain. Wealth, power, and fame can be lost in a moment, leaving the individual empty or disillusioned if these were the sole measures of accomplishment. By prioritizing God, a person evaluates achievements in terms of character, contribution, and alignment with purpose. Success becomes a reflection of how well one has lived according to principles that transcend circumstance. Honesty, compassion, diligence, humility, and faith. These qualities endure even when external accolades fade, ensuring that the impact of one's life continues beyond the immediate moment. In this sense, success is not merely a personal victory, but a legacy of values that shapes the world around us. Redefining success also shifts the focus from comparison to growth. Human beings naturally compare themselves to others, often measuring self-worth by relative achievements. This tendency can breed envy, insecurity, and dissatisfaction, as there will always be someone wealthier, more influential, or more accomplished. A God-centered perspective changes this dynamic entirely. When God is first, success is measured against one's own potential and alignment with divine purpose, not the fluctuating standards of society. Each step toward integrity, wisdom, and meaningful contribution becomes a mark of true success, independent of external recognition. This approach cultivates self-respect, contentment, and a sense of fulfillment that is immune to the superficial competition around us. Another important aspect of success redefined is the integration of purpose and service. True accomplishment is not achieved in isolation, but in ways that positively affect others. When God is prioritized, actions are guided by principles that honor life, nurture relationships, and benefit communities. Work is no longer merely a means to personal gain, but a vocation through which talents and skills are used to serve a greater good. This approach fosters satisfaction and fulfillment because achievements are connected to purpose, and purpose is aligned with values that outlast material rewards. In this way, success becomes both personal and communal, enriching not only the individual but also the world they inhabit. Redefining success also emphasizes resilience and integrity over convenience. In pursuit of worldly success, shortcuts, compromise, or unethical behavior are often tempting paths to faster results. These choices may yield temporary gains, but they erode trust, damage reputation, and ultimately undermine genuine achievement. When God is placed first, integrity becomes non-negotiable. Decisions are guided by what is right, rather than what is expedient or popular. This commitment to moral and ethical standards ensures that successes are genuine and sustainable, providing a foundation that cannot be shaken by failure, criticism, or changing circumstances. The God-first perspective on success transforms the relationship with failure itself. Failure is often viewed as defeat in the conventional sense, a reason to abandon efforts or feel unworthy. Yet when God is prioritized, failure becomes a teacher, an opportunity for reflection, growth, and refinement. Each setback is measured not as the end of the journey, but as a step in the process of living a life of purpose and alignment with enduring principles. Success, therefore, is not defined by an unbroken streak of achievements, but by perseverance, integrity, and the consistent pursuit of meaningful objectives, even in the face of obstacles. When God is placed first in life, the transformation begins from within, shaping not only thoughts and attitudes, but also actions and relationships. Character is the foundation upon which every meaningful relationship and responsible decision is built. A person who prioritizes God develops a moral compass that guides behavior even in moments of temptation, pressure, or uncertainty. This internal transformation is not superficial. It penetrates deeply into the heart, influencing choices, shaping responses, and fostering virtues such as honesty, patience, humility, and empathy. Character formed in this way becomes resilient, consistent, and reliable, serving as a steady guide through the complexities of life. Relationships, in particular, are profoundly affected by God-centered living. When individuals prioritize God, they begin to view others through a lens of respect, compassion, and understanding. Selfish motives give way to selfless concern, and conflicts are approached with patience and wisdom rather than impulsiveness or pride. Friendships and family ties strengthen, not because people always agree or avoid difficulties, but because there is a commitment to integrity, forgiveness, and mutual growth. By placing God first, one develops the ability to respond to others with love that is not conditional on circumstance, popularity, or advantage, creating bonds that are deeper, more meaningful, and enduring. The transformation of character also extends to professional and social environments. People who act according to values rooted in a higher principle are recognized not merely for their competence, but for their integrity and fairness. Colleagues, clients, and community members are drawn to consistency and trustworthiness, qualities that flourish when God guides priorities. Decisions are made with consideration, not only of immediate results, but of ethical implications and long-term consequences. This approach ensures that influence is exercised responsibly, opportunities are handled wisely, and interactions leave positive, lasting impressions. The combination of competence and character becomes a hallmark of those who place God first, creating a life marked by credibility and respect. Prioritizing God also cultivates self-awareness and personal growth. People often act based on impulses, pride, or external validation, which can result in patterns of behavior that are detrimental to personal development and relationships. A God-centered life encourages reflection, humility, and accountability. Individuals become aware of their strengths and weaknesses, allowing them to correct mistakes, seek improvement, and pursue virtues that strengthen both their character and their connections with others. This intentional self-development fosters emotional intelligence, patience, and resilience, qualities that enhance the quality of every relationship and the effectiveness of every interaction. Moreover, the transformation of character influences how one navigates conflict and adversity. Relationships inevitably involve challenges, misunderstandings, and disagreements. A person guided by God-first principles responds with wisdom, fairness, and empathy rather than anger, resentment, or manipulation. Difficult conversations become opportunities for growth, reconciliation, and understanding rather than sources of division. The presence of moral clarity and emotional maturity allows for the resolution of disputes in ways that honor both oneself and others, strengthening relationships rather than weakening them. Spiritual prioritization also reshapes motivations. People who put God first are less likely to act out of envy, competition, or selfish ambition. Instead, actions are guided by integrity, purpose, and consideration for the well-being of others. Success is pursued not at the expense of relationships, but in a manner that enhances them, creating harmony rather than tension. This shift ensures that character and relationships are mutually reinforcing. Strong character fosters healthier relationships, and meaningful relationships, in turn, strengthen character. Placing God first creates a ripple effect that extends beyond personal life. Families, workplaces, communities, and social networks benefit when individuals prioritize virtue, empathy, and integrity in every interaction. The transformation of character and relationships is not only personal but communal, influencing the culture and environment in which one lives. People become agents of positive change, inspiring integrity, cooperation, and trust in others. In this way, putting God first transforms not only the individual, but the broader network of relationships, creating a life of influence, purpose, and enduring impact.